Welcome to Beyond the Riverwalk, the local weekly podcast that brings San Antonio's most remarkable people, places, and events directly to you. All links discussed will be in the show notes, so sit back, relax, and join Kevin and Melissa Barron as they ask the questions that you would. Now, let's get the conversation started.
All right, well, welcome back, everybody, to Beyond the Riverwalk. As you can probably hear in the background, we are doing a special episode tonight with our friends over at SATX-Rated, and we're doing it at the original Freetail Brew Pub on North 1604. And hopefully the copyright won't be a problem because I'm enjoying the music. But thanks, guys, for being here. This has been really exciting, and thanks for the idea of doing it here.
Thanks, Kevin. It's good to be here. And Melissa, how you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Yeah,
Melissa, thank you for having us.
Melissa is kind of on the side, working social media here.
I'm on the sideline, so to speak.
Yeah, but she, as normal, she'll butt in whenever she feels like it. But anyway, well, so basically the whole idea was to get together, talk about what you guys are doing, because you're all over the place, online as well as physically at different locations, doing stuff with different local businesses. So tell us, I guess, first of all, what is SATX-Rated? How did it get started? And maybe even before that, who are you?
Sure. Oh, yeah, I guess we can do the bios first.
Yeah, let's do that.
About me.
Go ahead, Angela.
So my name's Angela. Before SATX-Rated, I've always had that entrepreneur mindset. So before that, I did travel consulting, Adventurous Ange, shout out. And Donovan actually was a huge push into kind of just believing in myself and putting myself out there, like having the confidence to be like, yes, I'm a businesswoman, I can do this, and kind of just owning it. And he did photography, so we were kind of two entrepreneurs living two different lifestyles, but at the same time we had the same like business mindset, and we were going out and having fun, hanging out with our friends, having a great time. People would ask us like, hey, where are y'all going? It looks amazing. We'd be like, you know what? Like, why don't we share this with San Antonio? Because we were going to really cool places. And I mean, I'm born and raised from here. Donovan's from New York. And I hated when people said, you know, oh, Austin's better, Houston's better, Dallas is better.
Yeah.
I went to college in Houston for a few years. So I even had that mindset for a little bit. And like actually falling in love with San Antonio and seeing everything that it had to offer, like I just wanted to share that with the world and make it easier for everyone. So we joined forces and haven't looked back since, and it's been a wild, great roller coaster.
Well, I was going to say, now how long has it been? How long y'all been working together?
We started in November. No, like end of November, went into the Christmas season, and we wanted to, there was so much things going on. We weren't even ready to launch yet.
Wow.
But the Christmas had so many events going on. We were like, let's just do it now. So we just took off, and we did like a soft opening, if you will, in December. And like Angela said, it's been a wild ride. We're already, how many followers are we at right now? I think
we're close to 3,500.
Yes, they're already in such a short time.
Yeah.
So a little bit about me. Like Angela said, I'm from New York, New York City. So, but as an outsider looking in, I have a unique perspective because there were certain things that I missed from New York that I was trying to find in my new home. So I got on Yelp and found all these new places, and I was posting about it before SATX-Rated on my page, Trust Arts. Do a lot of photography.
Yelp Elite.
Yelp Elite, 6 years in a row. And I was posting, and people that were born and raised from San Antonio would ask me, where's this? Where'd you find this? And I'm like, I'm not even from here.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're coming to me for advice. So it ties into what Angela said. Her being from San Antonio, me being from the outside looking in, it's like the perfect duo. We are the dynamic duo, literally, because we have different perspectives and we find the cool stuff to do.
Well, that's one of the things that we're trying to do with this podcast is we say reintroduce people. So, because you can be introduced to it if you're new. We've only been in town we're going on 3.5 to 4 years. So I'm still think we're probably relatively new because depending on where you live, some people say, unless you're a native, you're never really from there, right? So for us, we're still learning a lot of stuff. But also to introduce people that have been here for a long time, like you just said, that don't know what the heck is in the area. Because it's been growing so fast.
Right.
I mean, at the time we've been here, and then just to drive literally here tonight, there's so much growth happening along 1604, the area we're in now, and other parts of town. You can't keep up with it. You need somebody to kind of help you, especially when you're looking for categories. So if I want to go out and meet a bunch of friends, where do I start in figuring that out so I don't get in a rut and go to the same place over and over again? And that's pretty much what y'all are doing.
And you start at SATX-Rated.com.
That was not intentional, but that was a good lead-in. Yeah, there you go. So anyway, what's the focus? What are you guys trying to do in terms of, I'll use the word that seems to be in the last few years kind of out there, is it curated, right? So you're pulling together a list of stuff that meets certain criteria. What are you trying to find, and how are you putting it together for people to find?
We are trying to let people know that San Antonio is a hot spot, a growing city, and there's a lot of things to do. You won't lack for things to do in San Antonio. Not to say our sister cities, Austin is not. I love Austin. Don't get me wrong, but I want people to know, San Antonians, to know that this is the spot, and I want to highlight that and show the great of the city. And it's still growing. So there's a new business that opens up almost every week, and we're looking to highlight those businesses. Bring awareness.
So we also, we have our experience maps, but we also provide social media marketing for companies like mom and pop shops that are wanting to grow, traffic base, clientele, whatever it may be, just get their name out there, and share that with folks. If you see what's going on with Popeyes, y'all, it went viral and they sold out. So if we can do that for a local mom and pop shop, and help them, raise their family, and so on and so forth. It just goes miles and miles. And so we're able to do that. We share our experience map with those folks that, hey, I don't have time. Where can I go? Provide me a list. Boom, we have you right there. And so,
And some of those mom and pop shops, another thing that we try to do is, some of them may not have that big budget that a lot of companies have, and that we're not about price gouging we're just trying to really promote these businesses. A lot of stuff we do is free, pro bono. We just really want to promote San Antonio.
So let's one of the questions I had growing up, and that's been a long time ago. I just turned 50. So when I was a kid, it was another century, quite a while back into the last century. But my parents both had small businesses, and there was no social media and the rest. So it was word of mouth, but it was literally word to one person to another. Now social media just amplifies that word of mouth, right? But at the same time, it's not easy because there's, any number of platforms you could be on. And, the LinkedIn is good for one base of customers maybe. Twitter is good for another, or if you just want to argue with somebody, Twitter is great. That kind of stuff. So how do you guys figure out from the business standpoint where to plug in a client, to get the best bang for their buck, or just their time, if nothing else? Yeah,
so definitely with the day and age that we live in, we definitely optimize for mobile, right? Because that's what you have in your hand all the time. Today, sometimes if you leave the house without it, you're like, oh my God, I don't know what to do.
Where's my phone?
Yeah. Where's half of my life?
And on top of that, one of the things I've been listening to Gary Vaynerchuk a lot recently because of just some of the stuff he talks about. He talks about this is the new television. And the television is the old radio.
Right.
And if you don't have it built for this,
exactly,
you're at a handicap.
Exactly. Right? And so I feel like Instagram would probably be our strongest platform. We do have our website that we make sure we optimize for mobile when people are on the go. We link to that. Twitter, we're on there. We know that it's a huge platform. Facebook. Truly, we try to share the love with all of them because we have different users that have different preferences, right? So maybe somebody doesn't like Facebook, but they're, super savvy on Twitter, and they're like, hey, why don't you tweet more? Well, we're on there as well to kind of show love and share the wealth with everybody.
The beauty of Instagram, because you can see visuals, and visuals are very important. But also with Instagram, we can share to Facebook as well on one post. So that way we cover multiple social media at once. Yeah.
Well, and then part of what you built with the website, obviously, is not only to go out there and help other businesses, but we can back up a little bit. You're out there trying to get folks just that are looking for something cool to do, someplace new to go. So you built these lists, and you alluded a little bit to the experience map. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah.
What are they, and why did you do it that way?
So it was actually a really good idea that we had. We were going to some of these places, and I mean, just within text messages with friends, we'd be like, hey, you know, what's a really good like dessert spot? Or hey, I'm in the mood for ramen. Like, where would you tell me? And we started thinking like, well, what if we could kind of like pinpoint where these spots are and just make it like an easy one-stop shop for people. And so with Donovan being super savvy on Yelp and having a bunch of ratings, I mean, this guy has introduced me to I don't know how many amazing places to where he will write a review for almost all of them.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And he'll give you the honest truth. I mean, the part for SATX-Rated, the rated part is more so of merit, right? So like we're giving them credibility. We're not going to try to steer you in the wrong direction and go to a bad experience. Like if we don't approve of it, we won't share it.
Yeah, we're not going to share it on SATX-Rated if it's not something we approve of. If you want the real deal for certain places that are not on SATX-Rated, then my Yelp, I'm pretty brutal with my reviews, but they don't make the SATX-Rated. We want to highlight San Antonio. We don't want to bring it down.
Okay.
So everything on SATX-Rated is like Angela said, worthy of merit. You know, the definition of rated. So.
Okay, well that makes sense. So that, if you want to go out there and read Yelp, you can probably
then you can read my
cringes,
Yelp. Yes.
Right? But if you're looking at SATX-Rated.com,
it's places that we love.
if you go out there and find that, it's going to be stuff that's positive.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes.
you don't have to weed through it and say, well, is this better than that?
Right.
You're right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
and even in addition to some of the experience maps, we've had some feedback from some of people that follow us and say, hey, like where's some cool family spots or where's some dog friendly places? I mean, I'm a dog mom. He has, two fur babies, and it's something that is maybe just part of this generation. I love it. I can take my dog with me. He's part of the family. And so we'll have places like that we can tell you, hey, you can bring your family. Maybe it's up until 8 p.m. and then it gets a little, not too friendly for the kids. Or even for dogs, like, hey, they have water bowls. They have, something for them. We want to make it for everybody, not just, a certain age range.
We don't have a strict demo. It's for San Antonio. So if you're looking for something to do, we have something on there.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about Facebook before. I always hear Facebook's for older folks because I remember being on Facebook when it was like 2010, 2011. That's probably when it was really growing.
Yeah.
And then that demographic like me just kind of kept getting older. And then the new platforms came out. So like Instagram didn't exist back then, right? So now it's huge. And then there's other ones that are out there now that I have no idea about. But staying on top of that and being able to get this information that you're pulling together out to everybody wherever they are, I guess is the trick, right?
Yes.
Because you can have a great content, but if you're not meeting people where they are, one, you can't help them,
right?
And two, you can't grow your business.
Right, correct.
Yeah.
So y'all are doing it for yourself as well as for other folks out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we have
win-win.
anywhere from the best places on the north side to the hottest spots on the south side, the hidden places on the east side and the west side. I mean, all over San Antonio has gems that people don't even know of. And sometimes it's just awesome to share like one of those gems. Like we'll get messages from people saying, hey, I have some family coming into town. Like, can you recommend some spots? And we're like, yeah, go check out our website. I mean, you pick where you want to take them, what time of day, what kind of vibe you're looking for.
And the beauty with the experience map, which is powered by, we're using Yelp. If you go in there, it pulls up the map of San Antonio and it has the dots on there so you can see what area you're in and see what we recommend in that area.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, that makes it so much easier. I mean, it really, really does. Because half the time, I use, not Open Table, that's for reservations, the Zomato. So you can pull it up, and it does a little bit on geographic stuff, right? But sometimes it's sort of like, oh, this looks amazing, and you hit where it is, and it's across town.
Yeah.
Right, yes, exactly.
It's really not as geared to finding something close to you as what you guys are doing.
And that's the beauty of what we do and why we do it. So when I see us across town, I'm like, all right, I'm on my way. So we make that trip for you.
Yeah.
So if it is across town from you, you know that it's good. It's worth that trip.
Yeah.
For an example, Wayne's Wings is about 40 minutes from my house with like traffic, and I took that trip and it was amazing. Yeah. So I put it on the map, and it's like, so people in my shoes, it's worth that drive.
Yeah, and some of these places, I mean, I know that a lot of them are surrounded by like, food and things that look amazing, but truly, like, we're sharing an experience, right? Because when you come to some of these restaurants, like, each and every one of them may have some different tradition or something that's just particular to them.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, some of these like hidden gems that we have on there, I'm like, wow, I never would have known this unless somebody else referred it to me based on the way they were treated, based on the service, based on the food, you know, something that made them want to go back for more. And even with events, I mean, we promote events all the time. You know, the Current just had an event last night, which was awesome.
They had whiskey business last night at the Witt Museum.
I've heard about
Look
that.
out,
yeah.
we have some posts coming soon for that.
That was so fun. I know, you know, Donovan's gone to United We Brunch, you know, so we try to support, like, you know, it's not just us, you know, trying to promote San Antonio, but we work with and collaborate with influencers and other media outlets to
Alamo Foodie, shout out.
Yes.
Eat Migos.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because we've talked to a lot of these folks on the podcast.
Yes.
Go back and listen to those old episodes, folks.
You should check out our last post. It has a picture with Alamo Foodie.
Yes, she's
So
awesome.
How do when you connect with these folks? Obviously, they've got their own group of folks that follow
Right.
them. They've got their own opinions on things. How has that worked? Because you may have a different set of preferences than them, but how do you guys work together?
It works out. So we're newer to the scene. Obviously, started late last year.
Yeah.
Alamo Foodie and Migos have been around for a while, and they were really like supportive in our journey and took us under their wing, and we work together. So if Chris has something going on, Eat Migos, he'll invite us out. If Alamo Foodie has something going on, we're like, hey, what are you doing? Are you going to this event? Yes, no. So we'll meet you there, and that type of deal. So it works together. Everybody's trying to help everybody out, and that's what I love about San Antonio as well. Is that it's that family feel in this big city, but it feels like a small town, and I love it.
Yeah, when we had our launch party in July, and we had the support of our influencers, you know, our influencer community, it was awesome. Like, it was just so awesome. We had TC Apprentice there. You know, Roy was a great help. He interviewed so many people, and so it's like there's enough pieces of the pie for everyone to eat, right?
Absolutely.
So we're not trying to hog it up, or we all have different niches. You know, Amigos focuses on the most delicious tacos in town,
yes.
and oh my gosh, I have so many still on my list that I have to go to.
Yep.
To whereas, you know, other folks have different areas of the business that they're focusing on. And so we're trying to get it from a marketing perspective for, you know, just bringing awareness to these mom and pop shops, like eat local, you know, go to the Pearl, go to the farmer's market. Like, some of these people are just starting out and trying to live their dream, and we want to help them with the platform that we have and, you know, share that love.
And there's a few people that came after us as well, and we're helping them out. You know, we're passing on, you know, the love as well, the love that and the welcoming that we received to them.
There's so much going on. It's hard. I think it would be hard to overlap to the point that you're actually stepping on each other's toes. You know, so to me, you know, not only with the growth in the area and all the different little niches and everything else, it's just the fact that everybody has different opinions, and they do complement each other. I mean, this was a while back. We talked to Chris, we talked to Jennifer, and when I saw the video that Chris did, he went to LA.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that was like, we got to talk to this guy.
Yes.
He is crazy, but he's got great opinions, and he will go. But he has to suffer, I guess, to go to all these places.
Oh, so hard.
And somebody has to do it, but he does a great job.
Oh, his video.
He's got this, you know, this positive attitude. He's always smiling. He's always laughing. It makes you want to, you know, follow the guy.
Right.
You want to see what he's doing next. And Jennifer said the same thing what you guys just did about people when she got into it, other people helping her. You know.
Yeah, I mean, everyone goes through the same growing pains, right? So, like, it's just at what milestone are you at? And we're not all in the same lane or whatever it may be. Like, everyone has a different journey. But we've all had to go through a hurdle to get to the next level, to grow. And the beauty of it is that some of them have been so welcoming and sharing that, like, hey, I feel your pain. I know what you mean. Like, maybe this is how you can approach it, or even just learning different, you know, ways to go about it. I mean, the power of social media is crazy. I don't know. And I know Donovan went one night, but the one that SA Munchies had posted about Chinese food at 3 a.m.
Yes, I saw that,
And how was
Get them
that?
to start delivering, right?
Exactly.
They didn't-
Well, not to start delivering, to stay open.
Oh, I thought it was to deliver late or something.
No, it was to stay open past midnight.
Yeah.
Because when people are leaving places, certain places, and he posted that,
hungry.
and all the influencers, because we're all a community, we were like, all right, let's do it. So we all promoted it, and the house was packed at like 2 a.m. I don't remember exactly what time, but it was late. It was definitely after midnight, and the house was packed. It was awesome. It was a great time. But that is the power of social media and the power of our influencer community, and you know, us working together.
And I think part of it is, what are the odds? One, I mean, you know, we do a different thing. Our podcast is all about trying to, you know, meet new people, introduce folks to the community, and as well as to ourselves, because we still don't know, you know, half the stuff we'd like to about the city. But our little thing is a little bit different. So if you think about it, if without, well, Instagram in this case, we probably wouldn't have connected.
That's right.
There's probably a lot of other folks that we wouldn't have connected with. I'm sort of the same as y'all.
Absolutely.
Because you just don't, you know, you don't interact on a daily basis with your, well, we got our daily jobs, you know, and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
We don't do this full time, but that would be fun.
That would be fun.
But anyway, yeah, so it brings people together that have interests that maybe they cross here. They don't necessarily cross somewhere else, but it doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah. So what are y'all seeing trend-wise? You know, you're mapping all this stuff. You're finding all these new things. What are you seeing in this last year, or almost year that you guys have been doing this? What are the new trends in the area? What's opening more than, you know, not? I don't even know how to describe it.
So,
but yeah, what are you seeing, basically?
Okay, so this is like my favorite, because when I lived in Houston, I fell in love with the Asian food scene.
Yep.
And when I moved to San Antonio, I was like, oh my gosh, where can I get some pho? Where can I get some banh mi's? And it was like 2 places in the entire city.
Facts.
And I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, like, just move me back to Houston. Like, I just want to eat the food over there. And so that was probably 4 or 5 years ago. And now, I mean, I have a list full of places that I need to go to. I have places that I go to all the time. Noodle Tree is one of those places where it was out of the box. You know, it wasn't your typical ramen place, but man, we went there when they had their soft opening and they had like 5 things on the menu.
Yep.
Donovan and I found ourselves there almost once a week, every week for like a solid month and a half. And it was different. And so now we see some ramen shops, we see pho shops, you know, we see a lot of the Asian fusions coming to town. I love it. You know, I'm born and raised Hispanic culture. I love me some tacos and some Mexican food. But Asian food right now is at the top of my list, winning my little heart over.
Well, you think about it. I mean, when we moved here, it's sort of like, well, we thought we knew the food that was going to be in the area because, it's Texas. Well, first of all,
barbecue.
Yeah, when I came here, I'm
Barbecue.
thinking, okay, there's going to be a lot of that. There's also, we're going to be living in the desert.
With horses and buggies.
Yeah, how stupid I was, right? Because I had been here when I was a kid, but we'd not lived here. We lived in different parts of the country. So when we first drove here, I was looking around. It's like, this doesn't look like the desert. And they're like, no, this is hills. This is a whole different thing.
Good old hill
So
country.
it was like a slap in the face. It was sort of like, well, guys, you don't, quit the preconceptions. This is going to be a whole different thing. And it has been a whole lot of fun trying to figure out the city. And it's hard because it's like the 7th biggest one in the country.
Yeah.
You include the metro. And you go beyond that, and the culture is German, and it is. It's Hispanic, it's German, it's...
Wurstfest in New Braunfels.
Oh my gosh,
I love Wurstfest.
Italian, I mean, you name it, it's all around this place. So there's always something fun to do, and you can always find your thing, you know? And sometimes you want to find something different, and that's hard. So I think what you guys are doing is bringing a lot of value.
Absolutely.
And our reach is pretty far for San Antonio, because sometimes you want to get out of town just a little bit. So we reach to New Braunfels, like you said, Wurstfest, San Marcos. So we reach out there as well.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So what was the idea coming here? We're at Freetail. We're at the original place.
We're at Freetail.
The original brew pub.
We're at a local brewery in San Antonio showing some love. I mean, if I'm not here at Freetail, I'm either at the Pearl, supporting, the Pearl Brewery, which is always an awesome thing. But supporting local. I mean, even yesterday we had some San Antonio lager supporting another local brewery.
Yep.
And it's just great. I mean, it's very rewarding to see your own city on the map with so many things to where it's like, you know what? No, and I'm not calling out Dos Equis, but no, I don't want a Dos Equis. I want, you know, this type of beer. I want a Freetail beer. I want a Pearl beer. I want something else, you know, that's local and homegrown, and you know that it, you know, it's in your backyard, and it's not the CEOs of the world benefiting from it because they've franchised it 20 times.
We wanted to do the interview in person. We like doing a podcast in person. It's just the chemistry. I love the chemistry of that. And also Freetail, being local, we couldn't meet at a Chick-fil-A or anything like that. So, and they also have, Freetail has something going on right now where you design a mug competition. And if you win the design competition, then you get a free membership for a year, 20-ounce mug. A lot of good deals on that. So shout out to Freetail.
Wow.
And we may be doing a giveaway soon. So
and so just to highlight some of those Mug Club perks. So if you do get this, you get $100 to sign up for your first year. So they would waive everything.
Yep.
If you already have a membership, they it's $75 for the renewal fee. You also get to benefit on $2.50 fills on Tuesdays, $3 fills on Sundays, and they are pretty good mugs, so you are definitely going to make your money back.
It's a good
very
size
soon.
mug.
Yeah, these are the glass. We saw an example of it a while back.
Absolutely. So enter. You have until October 1st to be the next designer for Freetail's
We're going to design one for SATX-Rated. Maybe get all the other influencers involved. And I also want to thank Chris as well, who's the manager here at this location, for letting us record.
We emailed him back and forth.
Yeah, he was really, really open and to us doing the podcast here. So thank you.
We appreciate that very much.
Definitely.
This is, they have given us a home for the time, I guess, that we're doing this. And also introduced us, because Melissa and I hadn't been here before.
Right.
So we appreciate that. You were talking about just local beer, and we did the podcast a while back before Beer Week. With
how'd that go?
Chivik. We had a good time. Harrison was I don't know how to describe it. He knows so much about this stuff, and I've had so much fun following him after Beer Week. I mean, during Beer Week, he's out there promoting stuff and doing his thing. He runs SA Beer Magazine, so he knows this stuff inside and out. But what's been fun is following him on Instagram and following him on Twitter, because he's got the driest kind of wit. He's hilarious. So, I mean, in that case, we wanted to know more about Beer Week and what that was all about, because it brings in a lot of local folks and that kind of thing. And then we met somebody through that was just, really a trip. So, you never know where all this stuff goes.
You never know.
That brings us here, into doing this as well. That was one of the reasons I had the interest, is talking to him. You learn so much about the area and how much it's grown.
Absolutely.
They've got a map on the Beer Week website that has the breweries all over town and outside of the area, and there's just dozens. I had no idea there were that many local breweries.
There's a lot.
I mean, and not even
and
just I was about to lead into
true.
that. Like, I mean, yesterday highlighted so many Texas distilleries, and even some that are coming new to the game. I mean, so we have Rebecca Creek right now, we have Ranger Creek, but we were introduced yesterday to Devil's River, and they're opening up, in 2020. And so I'm super excited.
Wait. That was so good.
It was delicious. They had this amazing, Arnold Palmer.
Yeah, they made an Arnold Palmer type with the Devil's River. It was so good, and they were really welcoming and open as well. And that's the beauty of San Antonio again, open arms.
Yeah.
So where are they going to be open? What's the
Houston Street and another street. It's going to be downtown.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be downtown, so it's a good spot. If you're doing one of those pedal parties or something like that, that would be a cool spot to hang out.
Yeah.
But so maybe even before a UTSA game or when you're in season. But
that's pretty good. Yeah, there's just a lot of new stuff happening. So where do you guys feel like you're going from here? It's almost a year
to the top. No,
besides the top, what's the next? What are you guys looking to develop? But you always got to stay relevant, try to find new angles.
Oh, absolutely. So our 1 year is coming up. Can you believe it? We get a little cake and everything.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
So we are wanting to do something in November to highlight and celebrate. Our 1 year. Our launch party was amazing. I mean, it flew by. I had a blast. There was a line outside before we even opened the doors. And it was great. I mean, it was very welcoming. 210 Culture did an amazing job of giving us
Culture.
A bottle with our like name on the wrapper saying congratulations.
Oh, wow.
It was
very thoughtful.
awesome. It was. I still have it like hanging on a shelf, so we'll probably use that for our 1 year celebration. But we're wanting to do something like that. We do have something in the works right now that's a little top secret, but soon to come. More news on that later in the fall. But yeah, I mean, we're going to be working with some spots in San Antonio that not a lot of folks are familiar with, and that we found to be amazing. And some upcoming spots that we discovered as well that are not open yet. Right.
Okay.
So. And then the other thing we want to do is we want to do more events. So I want to shout out a particular company. So SA Kern has been like phenomenal to us. I mean, they don't have to be nice to us. They have a legit 100,000 followers, and they are doing it big.
Yeah.
And they help us out. They invite us to events. We want to throw more events as well. So that's probably what's next for us is more events that the San Antonio can come out to and share the love that way, and we get fellowship.
Yeah, even like these micro events, like Stephanie with Puro Pinche does an amazing job, and she hosts micro events all around town. We had one at Ocho not too long ago to promote an upcoming event, which is next weekend at the Aztec Theater. And so it was like, okay, hey, we're downtown in the heart of San Antonio. You're promoting something that's downtown. We're promoting some local artists. I know A.B. Quintanilla is coming, Gio Chamba. If you have not heard Gio Chamba, they're from
Good
Houston. I know they're from Houston, but oh my gosh, I still have a piece of my heart in Houston. So I will support them to the very day. But they came a couple of weeks ago for Cumbias Necias at the Pearl. And Alamo Foodie was there. I ran into her, and it was the best time I have ever had at the Pearl. I mean, people weren't doing their music; they were doing mixes to cumbia music, and you had cumbia circles. You had people with their families, their dogs. I took my dog. We were just there on the grass and having an amazing time. So, you have different things like that, and it's just awesome. So those micro events, I mean, I probably wouldn't have known about what was going on without, Puro Pinche putting that out there.
Right.
And so it's, again, word of mouth, but social media kind of takes that word of mouth and magnifies it to the nth degree.
Yeah. We love that word of mouth. Also, we were on Ken's 5 recently. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes.
I did not see that.
So
what was
it was for
Great Day SA?
Great Day SA.
Taste Buds with Justin.
It was for Noodle Tree. Mike over at Noodle Tree. He invited us out. So that was pretty cool of him. He didn't have to give us a TV spot.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. We got to eat some good food for lunch that day.
We are the food and fun ambassadors for Noodle Tree. But again, that goes back to...
That's not a bad gig to have.
Not a bad
gig. But again, back to the power of social media. Like, Mike did an amazing job of just going fast and furious when he opened his shop. And it's right across from UTSA, next to Indie Coffee, right down the door from Singapore. Like, you have a lot of great shops. The block's right there. So if you're ever hungry, want to stop by for some ramen, he's open in the evenings from 5 to, I believe, 10. Amazing food. He changes it up. We've been pleasantly surprised many times because it's not your typical ramen. We've had ramen carbonara, which... I mean, you go in there and you're like, ramen? What do you mean? But that carbonara...
So good. Probably my favorite ramen.
We recorded Donovan's, live reaction, and he was like, oh my gosh. It was amazing.
First time trying it, legitimate first reaction of trying that ramen carbonara, the best ramen variation I've ever had. Yes.
That's saying a lot,
And I've had a lot of ramen, and I love ramen.
City. Yeah, I mean, it's been kind of crazy the last year, so...
So if y'all haven't tried that, definitely put them on your list.
That's for sure.
But there's a lot of ramen spots around San Antonio that are popping up that are really good. So
I don't know. I tell you what, y'all. The problem I have is I work during the day. I get home and I love doing this. So I love doing this on the weekends. At night times, I just want to relax and I do. So I guess I'm too old to get out there and do all the fun stuff y'all are doing. I don't know.
We are not too old.
Yeah, see, that's when she chimes in.
Just during the week.
Yeah,
just during the week.
We're going to party until at least 7 p.m.
Yay!
But so anyway, so our end of it, that's the challenge we've got with the podcast is just trying to, we'd love to do all that stuff, but oh my gosh, it's a long day. So what we're trying to do is when we have time and we have opportunity to do stuff like this, to actually get together, meet some folks, learn some things, do whatever we can to help share what you guys are doing.
Absolutely. We appreciate that.
Make our own lives a little bit better by getting to meet you folks. So, I mean, this is awesome stuff.
Can I get another one, please?
Sorry, we are ordering drinks.
It's an order break, y'all.
This is the awesome part about this podcast, especially, is because we're live on site. You know, that's going to have a nice touch to it. But like you said, Kevin, we definitely appreciate you having us on the podcast because I listened to your podcast prior to this, and it seems like a high-end podcast, and I feel like it's an honor to be on it.
Oh, well, I appreciate that very much. It means a lot. Yeah, what we're trying to do, I guess, is just we're just trying to get out there and meet some folks.
I'm getting some dip.
Oh, yeah. No, we're just trying to get out there and meet some folks, do something new, have some fun.
Yes.
The weird thing is what I do for a living all day long. I work in the healthcare industry and I negotiate.
We can relate a little bit.
Stuff.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. So I do the business side of that. I'm doing all that, deal with a lot of folks, and I enjoy working in the industry. I've always, since I got out of college.
Yes.
So it's been a long time. I love the people I work with, and it's just, I couldn't say enough about it. I love where I work. But it's very different than this.
Yes.
100%.
So this is my creative outlet, such as it is, right?
Yeah,
for us as well.
It's refreshing.
Yeah.
You have to have that creative outlet because if not, I feel like we'll just be robots going in the routine that we are. Yeah. And I feel like this kind of it's definitely taken me out of my comfort zone. I mean, I remember, me and Donovan would divide and conquer.
Yes.
And granted, sometimes some of the content that we use is user generated. So our followers definitely will provide to our feed,
Hashtag SATX-Rated for feature.
Absolutely.
There you go.
But we'll divide and conquer, and sometimes we'll have to go to these places by ourselves.
Yep.
And in the beginning, it was very nerve-wracking, and I would get nervous. It'd be like, wait, little me going to ask these business owners these questions. Yeah. But just shooting your shot and just having that, hey, let's try it, see what happens. The worst they're going to tell me is no.
That's really it.
Yeah. I mean, it's opened so many doors.
Yeah, in the most respectful way, I've watched Ange grow from that. So me, I can talk to a wall. I can literally talk to any person. Yeah. At least I can talk to at least 90% of people. I'm sure there's a 10% out there I don't know, but I can probably hold a conversation with anyone. But sometimes I do get nervous as well. Sometimes, the IPAs help a little bit, and then you go out there. But Ange has become this person where she's like, I'm going to this event, I got it, and we'll make all these connections, and does an amazing job.
It's a growth opportunity, I'm sure, but at the same time, you're finding what you really enjoy.
Yeah.
Right.
So is this a full-time thing for you guys?
No, we have real jobs. We'll keep the company name out of it, but we can relate to the medical industry part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So this is what you do at the end of the day and at night and on the weekends.
Absolutely.
I feel like sometimes my days just roll into one long day of work.
It is.
Because I don't see this. I mean, yes, it is work, but I don't see it as work. I just see it as a continuation of my regular life.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
It's fun. It is a lot of work, but it's rewarding. We love it. When we put that post up there and we edit that photo, we put it up there, and everybody's like, "This is so awesome. Where is this place?" And we're like, "Hey, this is this place." That's the feedback. That's the reward that we live for. In your regular 9 to 5, I love my 9 to 5 job as well, but it's for someone else, exactly. Someone else's organization. But which, like I said, I do love it. But when I do SATX-Rated, it is ours. Hours.
We get to be the creative directors.
Right. We are
get
every
to be
position.
We have the decision on what we want to put out there in creativity. And I mean, granted, we still look at it as a business, right? So we're like, hey, maybe this isn't good for our brand, or maybe this is a little too risky to post.
Right.
We don't feel comfortable sharing that, with the people that we follow.
Yeah.
And so we'll take those into consideration as well. I mean, it is all about your brand, and sometimes it's very rewarding to I guess surprise people when they find out that it's us, and they were like, I've been following this page for a while. Y'all are awesome. I didn't know it was y'all. And we're that makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah, I can understand. I was at the office the other day, and the person that works in our office came over and said, so-and-so said you had a great voice. And I said, really? And they said, yeah. And I told her, I said, have you listened to his podcast? And she said, I didn't know he had a podcast. So I'm like, well, where'd the voice thing come from? But anyway, so they said, oh, yeah, and I told them about the podcast, and they were just like, I couldn't believe that you actually go to that. It's like, is that really your personality? It's like, yeah, that's a part of my personality, right? That actually can come out occasionally.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's really fun, and it I don't know, it's a great opportunity. Melissa's trying to butt in here.
Well, I want to chime in. What does Don have in front of him right now?
All right. So I just received a beer flight.
Freetail IPA flight.
Yes.
All right. We've been married for 25 years.
I love it. That is my goal.
I don't know if you can tell, but
I love it. Even the first time we spoke back in the day, we're longtime friends now. I love the dynamic between you two. I said that before too. I've listened to y'all on the podcast, and it is the perfect dynamic.
Oh. You see? Together.
Yeah,
that kind of reminds me of you and Vanessa.
Yes, you remind me of my wife and I. Like the way you are. Like Vanessa's all like Donovan, and I'm like, oh gosh. But I love it. I'm doing that, but I actually secretly love it. You know.
Yeah, I mean, after this many years, you just kind of gonna go with it.
Right, roll with it, right?
But one of the things I did want to ask, since we're sitting here, was what you guys. Melissa had one. I don't know what you ordered. I don't know. What did you say you ordered?
I had the Earthly Mathematics. It was a stout.
Okay. Yeah. So you had the Earthly Mathematics. What's in the beer flight?
So I just received the beer flight here. Chris, the manager here, just brought me a milkshake IPA. A double IPA, no specific name. I'll get it later. Organized Anarchy and a Buffalo Hump. Those all sound great, especially that milkshake IPA.
The milkshake itself sounds good.
I'm going to take a picture of this and post it on social.
I got the Freetail Conservesa.
Okay.
So it's a blonde ale. It's pretty good. I highly recommend it. Whenever I come to some of these places, I'm not really big on IPAs, so I always just ask them for like their blonde recommendation or their pale ale. But yeah, no, it's pretty great.
I have learned that I like a stout.
You like a stout?
And I didn't realize how much stronger they are.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, those stouts they're rich.
Speaking of stouts, have you tried Stouts Pizza?
Oh, good segue into pizza.
Stout what?
Stouts Pizza.
Stouts Pizza.
That place is delicious.
Stouts is good.
They have a location in New Braunfels, which I'm in love with, but they have a location off of Shanefield, right?
Yeah, Shanefield, yes.
Yeah,
yep.
in the Shanefield Shopping Center. They make your pizza ready to order. It is the most delicious and beautiful thing that I have ever seen.
It's next to Big Hops, which is perfect. You will get a beer, and then you get food at Stouts Pizza. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna need all those carbs.
You're gonna need those carbs.
Is that off of Bitters?
No,
there's one on Shanefield.
Shanefield, off of 1604
in Shanefield.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a newer development for shopping. They actually built a Stoneworks over there. There's a Mr. C's. Is that the seafood catfish? I think it's Mr. C's chicken and waffles or something like that. It's really good over there.
Yeah, Mr. C's also has a new location off of Hebner, which is really good if y'all haven't tried that.
Oh, yes. Next to Time for Lunch.
Yes. Great segue. SA Foodie, actually. Shout out to SA Foodie.
SA Foodie.
She is amazing, and she is a great person. She supports us, and I mean, man, if I could ever see a latte fest be filled with people, it would be SA Foodie's followers, and she would pack the house.
She is the truth.
But she went to Time for Lunch and kind of did a segment on them before they opened. They opened this past Monday. So super new to the area, but there was this amazing salad that she posted on her Instagram. And I was just like, oh man, like this looks amazing. I just have to have it. So I, talked to my coworkers. I'm like, hey guys, let's go to lunch here. It's down the street. We're not too far. Try it out. The most amazing thing I have ever tasted. The owner was so humble, and that's kind of the rewarding part, right? Like you go and they are servant leaders, just wanting to make their customers happy.
Good word.
And it was awesome. I mean, the food was phenomenal. I legit showed him my phone and I said, I want this.
Right.
And he was just like, oh, SA Foodie, okay. And I was like, yes. Like her picture was just so darn good that I wanted that because it just looked phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man, see, then that's part of the thing is from the social media standpoint, we struggle with, because it's sort of like how do you pick what you're going to do? And nowadays, there's so many apps and stuff you can edit these photos, and you can do it on the fly. You know, it's sort of like there's too many choices. You know, so it's sort of like logo, post a logo. You know, it's sort of like I'm not that creative that way.
Yeah, it is a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot that goes into it. So when people say, "Oh, they're just out there posting what they ate for lunch," no, there's a lot behind it.
It is a lot behind it.
Editing, angles, devices.
I've definitely failed a lot of times. Test and learn and iterate.
Yeah.
And she taught me that. So, but yeah, it's a big. The angles are a big deal. Lighting is the number one. Like you got to have a good light. So it's not that easy to be a foodie or what people want to call influencers. It's a lot of work.
It's really hard. I mean, I'll go back a little bit. We talked about this probably some time ago, but when Melissa and I were living in South Carolina, we had a food blog called PD Foodie. And the region of the state was called the PD Regions. It's P-E-E-D-E-E, and it was named after the Native American tribe that was from the area. So there wasn't much that the area of the state was known for but that, right? But it was a rural area, great people. We met so many wonderful folks there. And we had a blog, and it was called PD Foodie. So we had a food blog, and then we started this podcast, and that was the first podcast we ever did. It was back in 2010. And there was no any of the rest. It was Facebook, Twitter, maybe. That was
MySpace.
MySpace.
It was still around.
I never got on MySpace, probably for a good reason.
Probably for a good reason.
Yeah, but we did that, and it wasn't all that big a deal. It was new, right? Yeah. That was when you could put aliases on Facebook. So my account was PD Foodie, and then I had to realize, you got to use a real name, and that ain't the real name. But anyway, so we went through it. We had a lot of fun. But it was simpler back then. You know what you guys are doing now is, it's multimedia. You're doing video, you're doing audio, you're doing...
You're telling us.
Yeah, so how do you get... I mean, we'll jump back in the interview, I guess, but
no, it's fine.
Where'd you get the skill sets? How are you learning this?
No, that's a good... I'm glad we're touching back on that because... So my background, I've been playing with Photoshop since high school. We had the first... one of the first high schools...
How young are you?
I'm 34. I'll be 35 in September.
Yeah, you're way younger than me.
So
Photoshop in high school?
Yeah, we had like Photoshop 5, I think it was. Now they're not even on numbers. They're like they're CS5 now. So anyway, long story short, but I started with Photoshop because they had a computer lab, and that computer lab, that's when computers were expensive. The computer lab was a steel door with a little window. Because they had to keep it, sealed. And I've been playing on Photoshop since then and PowerPoint, believe it or not. Okay. So my background is in graphic design. I've never stopped designing.
Did you do the logo that you guys used?
Yes, I did SATX-Rated logo.
Yeah,
Thank you. Homage to the Spurs.
Exactly,
we love our Spurs. Yeah.
But it's original, and I still recognize it as yours.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's really cool.
So, so that's my background is photography and graphic design. So that's where the angles of art, that's why to toot my own horn, the food pictures look good most of the times. There's times where you're like, I could have did better, but
See, and on my end, when I did my travel photos, like I needed angles, right? So if I was trying to convince my clients, like, hey, book with me, I can solve all your problems. So think of like the experience map, but more so the itinerary. So like I will solve, like, tell me where you want to go, I'll solve it for you. I will plan, whatever your requirements are. Do you want a spa? You want adventurous? What do you want? And so when I would travel to places, like I needed to have a good angle in order to be like, hey, like I know what I'm doing. And so
don't forget your video.
Oh, right. So my GoPro was one of my best friends. Before then, I've evolved. Like now I have devices and, fancy stuff to make it into still shots. But I remember looking at my first YouTube video and I go back and I'm just like, oh my gosh, the camera's shaky and it's this. But I mean, I taught myself and it took almost 6 months to release that first video because I was using Final Cut Pro. Nobody was teaching me how to do it. Like I was watching YouTube videos on how to learn to do that. I wanted to know that skill set. And so it was more like, okay, no one's going to teach me this. I'm not going to school for it. So how am I going to continue to discipline myself to get better? And now I have like 20 videos, and I'm very particular now. Like I have attention to details, and so just growing into that,
I think
visual
that's
aspect
part
is
of
good.
the emphasis I wanted to try to put out there was, what you guys are doing for small businesses as well as for yourselves is not, some guy or me, for example, taking a picture of what I had for lunch, like I said earlier, putting it out there and going, hey, pay me.
Yeah.
No, I mean, anybody can do that. But what you guys are doing is adding a ton of value.
Yes.
One, because you know of these places.
Thank
you. know
you.
what they need to do to get out there, get the word out to the right communities, and what channels to use.
Yeah.
And you're putting out good content, which is not easy. Right?
Yeah, it's hard. There's times where we go places, not very frequent, but where we're looking at the photos and we're like, wow, we don't have anything to post right now because we're real particular. Like,
Yeah.
We're really picky about what we post.
You guys probably more than us, but I know I've found myself wanting to go somewhere this weekend, or next weekend,
Yeah.
because I don't have anything to talk about, or I don't have
Right.
anywhere to
No.
post.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's sort of like, oh my gosh, I'm panicking. We got to find something new.
I have a
Yeah.
funny
That
thing for that too.
happened, yeah? Yeah,
You know, there's times where Ange and I are like, Dad, where do we go to eat? I don't know. We're supposed to be the people.
If only there was
It's
a
so
website.
If there was
True,
only
right.
there was a
If only there
website
was a
with ideas,
website.
and I'm like, I forget. Why don't we just go to our experience map? And so we're guilty of that sometimes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's the funniest thing about what we do. There's times where we're like, man, where do we go eat?
Yeah, and during the week we probably talked about like, oh, we should go check out
Oh,
this spot,
gosh,
this spot,
yeah.
this spot, and then the time comes and it's like,
It's like
okay.
Monday through like Thursday, we're like, oh, we're going all these places. Friday hits, we're like, where are we gonna go?
Yeah.
That's about, I know what you mean. So here's a question. This might be a little inside baseball, but I'm curious. How do you find out about all this stuff? How are you on lists that PR companies, how do you know when something's going to open a month from now and you got to get geared up for it?
So we shoot our shot. We definitely ask questions. Like I always come from curious. I'm like, hi, new person. What do you do? Yesterday we accidentally met a few folks just in conversation. Like the universe has the craziest ways of just introducing you to people. But just talking to people. Like Donovan said, like he can talk to a wall. I've learned to talk to a wall. And just asking folks like, hey, how are you doing? And you never know where the conversation will lead to. I mean, sometimes, thank you. Sometimes they'll say, oh, hey, I'm a business owner and we're about to open something here at the end of fall. And it's like, hey, here's our business card. Like, we'd love to help promote
Give us a
you.
shout, yeah.
Right. I mean, even with, Devil's River, we asked them, they had a sign that said, new location coming soon. And I said, hey, when? Most people won't ask that question. They'll just be like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll wait until somebody else tells me about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, wait, where and when? And they were very open to it. And I said, okay, hey, can we reach out to you, your event planner, marketing partner, whoever it may be?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Here you go.
Yep.
I mean, it's shooting your shot. And just, like I said, the worst they're going to say is no.
And we have some other sources as well for opening.
I'm thinking these might be secret sources.
Yeah, a little bit. So there's some other sources that we get information.
See, I keep thinking there's this underground listserv.
A little bit.
I'm old. I say listserv. Underground email distribution or something.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know.
There's something like that.
Because that's one of the things is like we want to try to find new folks to talk to. And
We'll share it with you.
Every single person we've talked to, we've found interesting ourselves and have reached out to for the most part.
Yeah.
And I think that's fine. I'm okay with doing that versus people contacting us. If they want to, that's fine. But generally, I reach out to them. And the challenge is, there's always something new you want to do, but at the same time, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So, if you don't happen to see it, you may not know it exists, and it may be a really good connection to make.
Yeah, and that's funny that you said you reaching out to people because I reached out to you because Alamo Foodie posted about your podcast, and I thought it was so cool.
Yeah.
So when I saw her coming up, I was like, oh, I want to hear her podcast because I'm always interested in what she has to say. And then I listened to your other stuff, and I was like, I want to be a part of this. So
I'm glad you did. I mean, it's unusual, but usually we'll just try to find somebody that'd be interested in talk to for us.
Yep.
Something new that we can go try. The problem I have is when we recently did the an interview with the guys over at the San Antonio Railroad Museum, Railroad Historical Museum.
That was a good one. I like that one too.
It's an hour and 45 minutes,
Yeah.
which is way, like, over twice as long as these normally are.
Right.
So I don't know how many people hung in there for that one, but if you did, I appreciate it. But what was fun about it was that we went there, we got all into it. My dad used to be an engineer, so there was some personal connection with railroads to me and all that kind of stuff. And then we joined the museum, and then we bought hats, and we're like, the problem with us is we go do all this, and then we want to be part of it all.
Right.
So how do you guys...
We're the same way.
How do you stay connected with the people you've been to while at the same time going to new places?
So that is very difficult sometimes, depending on how received we are. I like to think we're likable people, so people want to connect with us. A lot of times, I want to touch on you buying like the merchandise and becoming a part of it.
Yeah.
So one of the perks for us, which I'll say, is when we go to these places, we get a lot of freebies, so we can be involved.
We need to be connected more then, because
right.
we don't get any freebies.
So we get a lot of freebies for certain things. So that's how we stay connected, and also we have to stay true to ourselves.
Yeah.
So for example, so if we have a restaurant that we really love in a certain niche, let's say seafood. That doesn't mean I'm going to keep going to that one seafood restaurant only.
Right.
I'm going to report on other places that have seafood as well. Even though I love that one particular place, I have a duty to the city of San Antonio to report honestly on all these other places.
True.
I can't talk down on these other places because I have a loyalty to one spot.
I agree with that, but at the same time, you want to go back to the place you liked.
Oh, I still go back.
But you still have to... Well, how do you find
There's a place I have in mind for that too, and I'll shout them out. So I love Smash and Crab.
He's checked in over 30 times.
I have checked in 34 times on Yelp. I have the #1 check-in for the city of San Antonio for Smash and Crab. I love that place, but I still go to other seafood places, but I still end up at Smash and Crab. I have friends that will fly in to San Antonio and be like, the first place we're going for dinner that night is Smash and Crab.
Wow.
That's how much I love and post about the place, and I don't get paid to do it.
Yeah.
It's just a true love for that place.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, it's kind of sometimes hard because we get excited when we talk to folks and we want to know more, we want to do what they're talking about, and then it's sort of like, well, what about all these other things? So it's kind of a challenge, but the thing with podcasting nowadays is that it's so easy. I mean, we've got probably sitting here maybe $400, $500 worth of equipment at the most. So it's so accessible, anybody can do it. But a lot of people, probably like small business owners, don't, because they're either worried about what other people are going to say, like, oh, I wouldn't sound good, or I don't know how to do that. So they just need the confidence, and it sounds like that's what you guys have built up in a really short amount of time.
I don't lack confidence.
Yeah. I mean, granted,
or
like
humility.
So I was a United States Marine for 12 years. One thing you can't lack is confidence and courage.
Yep.
So maybe that's where talking to a wall comes in, because going into foreign countries and having to talk to people that are totally different from you, it's a skill that I had to learn very quickly. And then also my background being from New York. New York is rough and tough, so you got to have thick skin. So those two major things in my life was kind of made me who I am.
That's pretty good. And so there's no hesitation. You're comfortable.
No hesitation. Sometimes, I get it. I'm not a machine.
Shy sometimes.
I get shy sometimes. There's times I'm like, Ange, can you go do that one?
I'll give him a pep talk.
Yeah, she got to give me a pep talk sometimes, or I have to send her in. But we do it for each other. So I'm not perfect, and I'm human.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the pep talk is real.
Pep talk is real.
Sometimes it's like, okay, deep breath. Like,
my wife will be with us, and she'd be like, Donovan, you better go over there. And she knows I'm good for it. It's just sometimes I just need a little push.
Yeah.
Well, you made me think of something. Melissa's here with me. We do the show together for the most part. Sometimes she's otherwise occupied, and I'm doing it myself. But how do the significant others, how does your wife, for example, deal with y'all going and doing all these different things? Is she there with you?
Oh, she's always there. Yeah.
Okay.
She's always with us. She didn't go yesterday so we're actually expecting a child now.
Oh,
yeah. So she's
little baby Thomson.
Thank you. So having another boy, and so at this point in the pregnancy, she's like, not leaving the house as much. But typically, yeah, she's there. My son is there. Like the family's there. It's always, well, if it's family friendly, which most events we do are. Everybody's there. So, yeah. And my wife is probably like the most supportive person I've ever met.
Absolutely.
She's always about it. I've had a lot of projects in my life, from photography to graphic design, like we said, now to this. So she's always been there.
And even for her, I mean, I've seen her also grow from like the uncomfortable, like I don't want to go say hi. I mean, I felt the same way. Like I feel like just in the space that we're at, the people that we meet, like you have to kind of just overcome that hurdle, and it's a beautiful thing.
It is.
I mean, you grow as a person.
You meet so many cool people. That's probably my favorite thing in life, is meeting people. Maybe first is food, and then and then meeting people. I love meeting new people.
No, this has been really fun. We're going on just about an hour.
Okay, all right.
And I could probably keep talking forever.
I could too.
But yeah, so I guess we could probably just wrap it up because we got to eat at some point.
Yes, we do.
Food's starting to come.
We've been snacking.
So tell us a little bit more tell everybody how they can find you guys, what's the best way to kind of get a flavor for what you're doing.
Absolutely.
As well as make sure that they check out the maps.
Yeah, so we'll start, I'll kick it off and I'll pass it to Ange. So Instagram is our, I would say our number one social media hub because of the photography and you want to see your food. You see it and you're like, oh, I want to go try that. And it happens to us as well. So Instagram at SATX-Rated. Twitter at SATX-Rated, Facebook at SATX-Rated. We own all of those, so that's pretty awesome. And then, of course, SATX-Rated.com.
Yeah, check out our experience maps. If you're trying to find out what to do for brunch, on a Sunday, figure it out. Go there. It'll point you in the right direction. I mean, we're definitely wanting to pay homage to not only our love for our Spurs with our logo, but San Antonio as a whole. It's a small city that's really a big town. Everybody knows everyone. So we just want to go ahead and spread that word of mouth and positivity for everything local.
I think one of the best decisions was moving to San Antonio. I've lived a lot of places. I've been stationed in Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina. I did some time in California. Been to Iraq. I've been to Iraq 3 times. Born and raised in New York. Oh, wow. Out of all those places, I love San Antonio. I love New York, of course, because that's where I was. It taught me a lot of. It made me who I am, But San Antonio, I get the best of all worlds. So I've lived in the South for a long time. So I have that Southern hospitality kind of in a way here with that big city feel. So it's like a mix of New York and like where I lived in Florida and North Carolina. It's like all mixed together. So it's pretty awesome.
And he can still get his jerk chicken from Jerk Shack.
Jerk chicken from Jerk Shack. And I make my own custom. My dad taught me how to make my own jerk seasoning. So Jerk Shack, if you need a custom recipe or maybe Wingstop, I got you.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Really?
Yep.
My brother operates a seasoning business, blending company in New Orleans.
Ooh.
And they do custom blends for restaurants and their own product lines.
We need to link up.
If you ever want to do your own
family recipe,
I got a guy.
Family recipe, and it's not a secret.
Yeah,
I know a guy who knows a guy.
That's right. We got a guy for that.
When my parents come to visit, my dad makes it because it doesn't go bad. It's really just all pepper. So it doesn't go bad. So he makes me these jugs when he comes to visit. Like when he comes down for like the baby shower, like he'll make me all these jugs, and we keep them like some frozen, some refrigerated. The best stuff you ever had.
And I tell you, not everybody knows how to do that. So
it's not easy.
Facts.
Oh, well, thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you, Kevin and Melissa. I really appreciate this.
We appreciate the folks over here. I don't even know. Hopefully you guys have heard everything pretty well. We got the mics on.
It's pretty loud here for us. I hope you hear us.
Yeah, because we got music and we got people, but it's been a whole lot of fun, and we appreciate the folks at Freetail allowing us to do this.
Thank you, Freetail.
Yeah. So, and hopefully this won't be the last one. If I can throw one thing out there, and I'm going to put you on the spot because we're here on the show, and before we wrap it up, this is going to be probably our 35th, I think, maybe episode.
Wow.
So we'd like to do something when we get to like 50.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you guys help us to connect with the right people?
Absolutely.
Invite whoever we can invite.
Yes.
We love that, obviously, people that were on the show, but
we have a list.
Somebody
full of
new,
people.
Get somebody new on there. Absolutely.
Else, yeah. And if you got any suggestions, obviously, for people who can't have on the show, let us know.
You said you can or can't?
Can.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, who?
You can't come to the show?
Everybody we've met, has been awesome. So we have a lot of
No. If you have
recommendations,
suggestions for guests, let us know.
Absolutely.
We want to hear from folks and for suggestions, because eventually my brain's going to run out, I think. But
We'll make a list for you.
We've had a lot of fun with it so far. So thanks for being on the show,
Thank you,
everybody
thank
that's
you.
listened.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the show. This has been a whole lot of fun, and now it gets quiet. So,
Yeah, I just got quiet.
so from Freetail, this is Beyond the Riverwalk, and we'll see you guys around the Alamo City.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Beyond the Riverwalk. Send your comments, questions, and suggestions to podcast@beyondriverwalk.com. As always, subscriptions to our show are free and available wherever you find podcasts, as well as on our website. Until next week, join us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for more conversations about our community.